All right, welcome back to the Devil in Detail, the Grendel Reread podcast. I'm Eli.
I'm Ben. This is episode 22 of our Hunter Rose coverage, and we're going to take a little bit of a 3-week detour and cover a lesser-known pocket of the Grendelverse, Silverback, 1989.
Silverback. Lodge. This back cover is going to be fun to use for the album cover.
For sure.
And
this is a 3-issue Argent origin story. It's the second time that we've sort of seen this. There's a little bit of Argent origin in Kimiko Grendel Volume 1, number 2.
I think it's 2, yeah, 2.
Yeah. And this kind of retreads and fleshes out some of that material with wonderful colors by Bernie Moreau.
Oh, beautiful color. And it says something special. It's not just like colors, it's like the color art, which he clearly painted beautifully on the back, probably in the same way he told us he did before. But before we get into all that, Ben, what did you do this week?
I made a lot of comics.
You're making comics. Yeah, man.
I've been making comics. I am wrapping up the layout of, the thing is, my layout, once I get in the groove, it becomes pencils. If I'm doing a page that I know that my client is going to like it because they're easygoing, it just kind of becomes pencils or preliminary pencils, or maybe when I do the finished art, I might go back in with a fresher perspective grid. So I did that, and that's been a lot of fun, and that was really it. I'm happy to be able to just make comics. There's nothing better.
Yeah, man, they're looking great too. You've been posting some pencils and stuff like that. Looks awesome.
What'd you do?
Well, it's the start of Kayfabe-tober, which is the list, the kind of like Inktober list that we made in the Kayfabe group. It's been really fun. It's been getting me drawing every day, which I don't always get to do. Sometimes I go longer than I'd actually like without drawing. This week, a big one was Ma Food the other day, and every day I'd been drawing in my notebook, but for the Ma Food thing, man, I cleared off my table. I got a big 11x17 piece of paper. I took out all my shit. I finally broke these calligraphy pens I was out talking like on the cast with him. And it was just really fun. I kind of got drunk and high and like let go and just kind of didn't think and just did it up, man. And so that was really, really fun. Let me show it. Let me show it off to all the peeps.
Show it off.
So I'll probably just can put it up.
This can be filed under things I didn't do this week.
It was fun to do. I did Chamber from from Generation X Underground, and then some of his little characters, 40 ounce there, wrote Gen X, tried to do some, just some fill-in stuff. I'll put it up on the screen too so y'all can see, but it was really just really enjoyable to do.
Yeah, you got the Beat Bee really good.
Ah, yeah, man. I've been drawing that a lot. I actually got a little Beat Bee toy back there.
Oh, yeah.
And that's been fun. Today's is Wally Wood's 22 panels that always work. I was going to do a 3-paneler just using 3 different ones that I haven't done it yet, but I will.
Yeah, they always work, except when they don't.
As with most things.
Yeah, right.
It's been pretty cool. We've been working together on the Oh Fuck Why comic, and it's almost ready. We're going to actually get a print going soon for us and to send it out to some potential investors and stuff like that. So that's beautiful and been
nice.
Fun to do. I actually finally put it in the PDF, put it on my iPad, and read it all together as one thing, and it was just great to see. I had seen so many pages and pieces, and I read 3 or 4 pages and sections, but I finally I was waiting until it was all done and everything to get that full picture, and it's a great book, man. Y'all did something great.
Thanks. Well,
you'll all see it soon.
Yeah, you got to give big props to colorist Morgan Hickman, who really brought it to life, and to Sal Cipriano, whose letters just make it look like a real comic book. So it is that's exciting.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. But I think it's time to get in to the old Silverback.
Hit us with the intro.
When the body's ready to go, fast and then slow. Yeah. Vivat Grendel!
It's like the devil devil is my best friend. Hunter rose with the pen to the fork end, or till time end, like Orion. Jupiter, my kin, bloodline private. We control the whole shit. The wolf won't beef, then we feast off the rip. Behold the devil in detail. Behold the devil in detail.
And we're back. Thanks for an awesome intro by Manus and Zach. Always sounds cool, keeping our cred strong.
Oh yeah.
But we got comics to talk about, Eli. So
Yeah, we do.
Let's get into it. What's the story with this Silverback series?
Well, Silverback here, it was what we find out in the end, as the credits credit William Messner Loebs with plot, script, and art. And Matt Wagner gets a plot credit. And what we find out at the very end in Diana's editorial is that, let me just read the quick little intro. She says, from time to time, we receive letters and from readers wondering whatever happened to Matt Wagner's Grendel novel, which we are going to get to the bottom of very soon. Well, the first draft has long been completed and is currently in the process of being edited by yours truly, Diana. Since the first issue of Silverback is directly based on a specific chapter from Matt's novel, which is why I think is where the plot credit comes from. And William Messner Loebs, Bill Messner Loebs, adapted from that chapter, I would guess. I thought I'd run a brief excerpt here for your enjoyment. So these three columns are basically the first couple pages of the comic. Mm-hmm. And so Bill Messner Loebs, I know him mostly from Epicurious the Sage and from his work with Sam Keith on the Max and some other stuff. What about you?
Yeah, that's about it. I mean, He has notable runs on The Flash and Wonder Woman.
Okay.
I think he did a book called Journey, Sam Keith and Fantagraphics, maybe around the same time as Epicurious the Sage. Those I've always wanted to read those books. They're kind of blind spots to me. We're both big Max fans, going back 30 years almost. Yeah, basically 28 years thereabouts. So that's very cool. He kind of re-emerged in the comics news mill in the last few years for kind of going in and coming out of a string of not so good luck. Really? Not great health. A really talented guy, and it just kind of reminds us why organizations like the Hero Initiative are so important. We all, and maybe when the industry finds a way to restructure itself that respects the talent that makes it possible, we won't have to GoFundMe,
right,
seniors lifestyles to be, so that they can live comfortably.
Right. Agreed.
Anyway, not to bring it down on that. But that's what I know about this guy, and much love. It looks like he is penciling, and I don't know. There's the other guy, Peckett. What's his name?
Who's the penciler? We both got floppies for this one, which is the first time in quite a minute. It says John
Frick. I'm sorry, John Peck. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he might be inking, he might be backgrounding, he might be doing whatever. But
the fact is,
DML is doing the heavy lifting here. Yeah.
All right, and so we start off with the two main characters, which are Never Cries, is what he is at first, who becomes Argent, and then we also have Wind in Leaves, which is the female protagonist. Two young Native Canadian Indians, not the preferred nomenclature, but it takes place in Canadian. They're part of a tribe, and this is just basically their life. And it says I pin it at about 1684, if I'm basing that. Grendel takes place in 1984.
Yeah.
It says,
like that.
And this is coming from Argent, kind of like he's telling this story to, whoever. Perhaps
it sounds like he's telling it to someone in the present. He says things
exactly.
Like, I don't remember anymore.
Could this be the rooftop conversation? It might be.
It might be. It doesn't seem like Matt is super interested in this story in retrospect.
Right.
I think that the thing that we're going to pull mostly out of it is how great the artwork is for a book from 1989.
Yeah.
Looks like it's watercolors,
Really
and some
beautiful
dry
color.
media blue line method. We'll ask Bernie for sure about it.
For sure.
And then the other thing is that it's, there's, the Kamiko Grendel run is wrapping up. There's an
Right.
inside front cover ad for issue 37, which is one of the very last ones. So it's, I think in sequence, it's kind of, I don't want to say strange, but it's odd that suddenly here's a miniseries. It's the first kind of structural branching out that we've
Right.
had in 38 issues of ongoing book.
Right. And Matt said that he was looking to kind of like diversify the line and kind of start doing other titles. I think it's kind of cool, as we'll see, that each of the 3 issues take place at a different time period.
Mhm.
I don't know that I've actually read issue 3. I don't have issue 3. I got it off eBay yesterday. I actually bought a full run off eBay because it was like the same price.
Sure.
So I'll send you issue 2.
I'll have to check. I think I have 2.
Okay.
I have another one, so I'll
Okay. Word.
have to go through my stuff. Yeah, it's funny because we've seen the Kamiko Volume 1 version of the story, and then in the back, post Diana's little intro, we can see Matt's text, and there's differences between all 3 versions here. So
Right.
here, what's his name? Never Cries and Wind in the Leaves. They're like young lovers or young friends or
Right.
whatever.
It says they're like 7 and 9 or something.
It's a little weird on that one.
They
But then-
definitely seem older than that, but
Yeah, well, that's funny because that's sort of a theme that we've discussed a lot in dissecting other
True.
Hunter Rose stuff, is who is drawn at what age, and then also
well, as an artist too, it's kind of hard to capture those years. So like,
I
why
mean,
not just
I guess so. You can just change the text.
Yeah,
It says
that's what I was
in
thinking.
Matt's text that they're like the exact same age and that they were infants together.
right? They were like
But
basically
here
born at the exact time.
it's a little different, which is
Right.
Whatever.
Yeah, she was 6 or 7. I was a little bit older. Maybe it's hard to remember. Hard to remember happiness.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But
So they're kind of
it's a real roll in the hay kind of
literal.
friendship.
Yeah. It's kind of like Star Wars Episode 2 when Anakin and
It's
Padme are
literally that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the showstopper here is Bernie's colors. It's
Beautiful.
a lot of
all throughout, man.
wet on wet.
That's what she said.
Yeah, like bleedy watercolors, and I'm not sure. There's some things that he's doing in these backgrounds where I think you see these leaves in the bottom panel.
I do, yeah.
I
Lots
think
of
that
stuff like that.
I think that might be Frisket.
Oh yeah.
That he would do the purple wash, then paint the leaves in Frisket, and then do the blue washes over it, and then remove the Frisket, and that it's a negative. I think that's what's going on here.
Yeah, and I think what we both feel like we've read is that the reason that this can't be reprinted is possibly because these colors deteriorated a lot, and a lot of the original art is deteriorated in some sort of way that it can't be reprinted.
Yeah.
Right.
It's also towards, the end of Kamiko, so there might be all kinds of rights. What happened to the negatives kind of bullshit going on as well.
Some rights and some wrongs. And now the book quickly turns dark as we get to page 2.
Can I make one last note on page 1?
Absolutely.
Page for page, panel for panel here. This the panel borders are kind of that scratchy Argent flashback style that we had seen before.
Right.
And it sort of does. I like gutters, but if you're not going to use gutters, it's important that you have strong contrasts between the images. And you can see, especially in that top tier with the yellow background.
Right.
And in lots of other places where it's very clearly defined where one panel ends and another begins.
And it's cool how they did it at the bottom. Like it's not straight 6 panel, the bottom 2 kind of
interesting.
Really like 2 with 1 inset.
Yeah. Very nice.
Super cool. Love it.
Cool. Page 2 is wild.
Yeah, it gets dark, and we first see in this, and it's been called out again, even as recent in the Kelly Jones story that we read is Maslun, the spirit of death. The spirit of death touches him in his dreams, full of madness and death. And we see this blood curdling wolf. It was terrible. Like the whole village is kind of gathered around him as he's writhing in fear.
This story is kind of wound up around the political and societal importance that the shamans hold in the Algonquin tribe.
Right.
When we were researching something earlier, it might have been in the TCJ interview, Matt said that this was not particularly well received. And maybe one of the reasons was that the research wasn't as thorough as it probably would have been today.
Right.
But anyway, there's a few different shaman characters here, including the character who becomes Argent.
Right.
And the role that dreams and medicine that's a lot of what's going on in this story.
Right. And these dreams kind of set him apart and make him ripe for the shaman path. Like he was named Never Cries, and that was kind of his childhood name. But as these dreams came, he was now christened Dream Picker once his dreams and his pathway towards his shamanistic pathway began to show. And so that disqualifies him from many of society's normities, and that includes ever being married, which becomes a detriment to him and Wind and Leaves, who they clearly love each other.
Yeah, it's like a priestly caste.
Yes.
He also doesn't have to, he just chills out and gets high all day.
That's
but
right.
He can't get married, so it's
right. And everything, everyone looks to him. And on the next page here, we meet the current shaman Dogleg, who's kind of got a gnarled leg. And then we also meet Eagle Scratch, who's kind of like a little bit older than them. And he's kind of like a bully. He's been a bully to both of them since they were kids. Mm-hmm. And we also learn that he is like the lover of Dogleg. He's Dogleg's toy, basically.
It's rumored.
It's rumored.
And you know how rumors, the tribe is always rumors, but it seems like it's probably true.
Right. And obviously at that point, I mean, it's 1684 in a tribe, there's no dogma or stigma, I guess is what I'm saying, about like a homosexual relationship, or there's nothing, so they don't see it as anything. It's just a normal thing. Do you think?
I think that the impression that, casual research reflection gives us is that Indigenous American society was super progressive in terms of gender fluidity and I guess homosexuality as well. Mm-hmm. It seems like it's a rumor. If it was true, it wouldn't be a big deal. I think that the big deal is the age difference, or maybe that he's a shaman and that he has a male lover because he can't have a childbearing wife.
Oh, interesting.
I'm not sure. Again, like I'm gonna say it like every page, like the draw here is Bernie's finesse on the watercolors.
So much beautiful
it's
in the background.
So atmospheric, and it's so
the detail on Dogleg's nose and panel 6 too is perfect.
Yeah.
Man, like veiny. Yeah,
just like the shapes that Bernie kind of carves out with the pigment and the negative space and the light it's really cool. I don't think we've ever seen Bernie do a color job quite like this before.
Yeah, definitely not.
It's
to evoke a different feel. If he was coloring a Hunter Rose story in this way, it wouldn't look right, or it wouldn't feel right.
Yeah,
this is like an earthy kind of.
Mm-hmm. There were a number of times where I thought about Disney animation, not just the Pocahontas movie and like the way he's treating the backgrounds and the palettes and stuff, mm-hmm. but the artist and designer Mary Blair, who was active like 50s, 60s, mid 70s. She designed the It's a Small World ride.
Of course.
And did like production art on, everything. The Sleeping Beauty backgrounds that are like very flat and like graphic designy
Right.
are hers. But
cool.
Anyway, so I was kind of reminded of some of that stuff, and of course, there's tons of Bernie Moreau, knick-knack doodads, in those backgrounds. Yeah,
there is.
He's great. He really brings it here.
The next page, we get our title sequence, Chapter One, The Dreamers, and we have Dream Picker kind of chilling out. I don't read a ton of, I guess, like Native American fiction or something, but it made me think about the original chapters of 2001, where each of the apes, have the names like Dream or Skywatcher and everything, and the names are really derived to describe what this character is,
what they do.
Yeah.
I've never read Arthur C. Clarke. Never, ever, ever. I should, right?
I love it. Yeah.
I should, right? I've actually got my Kirby 2001, my treasury, like right. We're moving, but like this is the one comic that I have that isn't downstairs yet.
So good.
Were the lettering on the title, was that kind of evocative of some mage type graphic design?
It's kind of magey. Yeah. The yellow and I love this page, man. It's really great. He's really graphic in the description of the world. And this is where he drops, like, it's been 300 years since I lay on a warm rock and felt the hot sun between my toes. How often are you feeling sun between your toes these days?
Yeah, that's true. I thought a lot about Barry Windsor Smith on here because of the way that the watercolors, and again, like the negative space is about the light, and he's so great on this.
Yeah.
Really chill page.
And here we get a little bit more of the backstory. I'm going to go take this whole spread as pages 4 and 5, if you're following along at home. Like you're talking about, they're a small Algonquin tribe living on the shores of a large lake somewhere in Canada. He can't really remember where. All the landmarks are gone. This was an interesting tidbit. All the landmarks I knew are gone, leveled by fire and iron and hate.
It's not hard to imagine he's talking to Christine Spar.
Oh, that could be too.
Right, that this, you can put that in your head canon, that it's just a transcript.
Because
he apologizes. He apologizes for not being able to be more specific about the bits he can't remember. I thought it was cool.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, and so he keeps going, and talking about, he's packing his pipe up here, smoking some tobacco, waiting for wind and leaves as he kind of, picks it up. He's going to be a shaman. I also read a lot of Carlos Castaneda back in the day, kind of before like it came out that it wasn't real.
Oh, I don't know what that is.
Oh, Carlos Castaneda. He wrote these books about becoming a shaman. Like, he was a professor in California.
Oh, but they were all fake.
It turns out that it was that he made up these stories, or he did some research and he created.
What the guy?
I know. But the whole thing was there was this shaman that he went and studied with, Don Juan Gennaro. He went and he studied with, and it gave you all these teachings. The teachings of Don Juan was the big book, and then the Yaqui Way, Journey to Oxatlan. I read 2 or 3 of those books and loved them. And because it was kind of like one of those psychedelic guides too, because it was like guide you in waking dream and all this stuff. And so there's a lot of these things, it covered being a shaman. And so, and how you train and how you go try to find your spirit animal. And it was very interesting.
Yeah. Well, it's what's the saying, when the legend becomes fact, print the legend, or something like that.
I don't know.
Print the legend. I don't know. I can't remember. It's a wonderful thing. I like here in the upper right that he talks about having fame, and I wondered if he was referring to fame within the tribe, or the infamy that he possesses as Argent, as a mythical public figure.
Right. yeah, I guess it would start in. It started here with his want for more, always getting crushed, kind of, maybe. Like he always wants these great things to occur, and yet something always happens.
I think that he talks about the transition, like we're talking about the child's name of Never Cries. You were talking earlier about the like the name, the shaman in training name that he was given. But I think that also the child's name Never Cries is interesting also. He's not really a child. He's a child for all of 2 pages in the story. But he's sort of known for being chill and laid back.
That's right.
And here he is lying on the rock.
Yeah, being chill and laid back, and even he's kind of always lurking in the shadows. He's kind of always a little secretive, and that's maybe because from the very beginning.
In volume 1, Matt describes him as an introvert who set himself apart from the tribe, and the shaman as well, but just that there were certain things that he just wasn't with the program.
Right. He was kind of chill and maybe didn't get caught up in the drama of the rest of the tribe, like they were talking about. So he's out here chilling. He's waiting on Wind and Leaves, and she comes, but she was a little late because they were picking Wapatus, and they had to get them all. Did you find out what a Wapatu is?
I did not.
I didn't either, man. I want to
did
though.
Not. She gives us a little bit about the drama, the shamanistic political drama that what's his name? Dogleg?
Dogleg is the shaman guy. Yeah.
Dogleg is not a great shaman by Dream Picker's estimation. He does a lot of.
He's old now, and
he relies a lot on vomiting and bloodletting.
Right.
That's
time for a nice bleeding.
Yeah, which are not great methods for by the way that Argent sees it, because Argent's using his dreams, and this guy is just basically torturing his folks.
Yeah. Anyway, so Wapatu is a plant that has edible tubers. It's not really commonly eaten anymore, I don't think.
Great.
Yeah.
Anyway, Dogleg has lost a little bit of face today because he was trying to heal some kid's cold by blowing smoke up their nose, and then the kid blew his snot all over.
Oh, I thought he threw up all his breakfast all over him. He says he threw up his morning popcorn.
He got a face
full of its morning
popcorn. I think that it means it went up and he snot rocketed all over his face.
Over him.
In Matt's text, he vomits.
Oh, that's right. He says something different. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe listen, who knows? Also is if this is admittedly not as thoroughly researched as it should be, there's probably a lot of weird language syntax and phrasing things that Matt was like, oh, that sounds right.
Yeah.
Let's go for it.
Or that Matt wrote one way and then Bill.
Oh yeah. Right. As is the case here.
Right.
All right.
Yeah. And so Wind and Leaves finds this hilarious, and they start laughing, and this is like two friends gossiping and kind of talking about current events, the news, what's been happening in the village. And
it takes a dark turn now.
Yeah, it certainly does, because he had a dream, and it was about her, her death.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she's not taking it really seriously. Another very cool layout here. The fact that there's 4 panels that come out. This is page 7. 4 panels come out well with this scratch, this slash down the middle of her dead body.
And I can't help but seeing a little Grendel Mask in there, particularly in the upper right.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
I'm sure. I'm just, if you want to see it, it's there.
Yeah. And there's so many permutations of the mask that you can kind of you can get it anywhere.
Yeah, he's seen most people in the tribe dying, but they haven't died yet. Right. So it's just maybe we know that you're being trained and you've been selected for this training because of your dreams, but everything's fine.
Yeah,
just relax.
I mean, dreams are of what's to come. And she's like, but that's not happening now. And and he's like, shut up. She's like, would you be happy if I just went and got myself murdered? And he's like, shut up.
Yeah, some nice Bernie backgrounds there.
Very
Anyway,
nice, yeah.
it cuts to the beginning of a vision quest where he's gonna find his spirit guide and return to the tribe with his boon, very Campbellian, and become a fully fledged shaman.
Exactly. He's stripped naked and sent out into the woods. He's covered in honey to attract the good spirits and bat dung to keep away Maslun, the spirit of death, who hated bats. Oh, and he's also covered in moose fat to shield him from the sun.
Yeah, sure.
And so thus protected, he walked into the woods naked to find his destiny. And we find him, and this is the part that kind of got me with the Carlos Castaneda stuff, how he's there. He's in his dreams, he's trying to like actively participate in the spirit realm, and it's not really working for him. 3 days.
Look at the beautiful leaves on the forest floor in that big panel, though.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
Nice job, Bernie.
Yeah, and the spiral on the tree on the left, and
yeah,
I mean,
I'm not sure exactly how that's happening. I said maybe frisk it earlier. I don't know. Maybe
I don't know.
It looks a little too soft. Maybe it might be like transparent acrylic or something. Anyway, he'll tell us.
Yeah. So 3 days pass and he hasn't seen anything, and he's really starting to get weak. His brain had turned to fire and his arms were too weak to support him until at last he sees his spirit guide, Maslun, the spirit of death.
Uh-oh.
And I went to try to do a deep dive on Maslun, the spirit of death, to see if he was truly a Canadian myth. He is a Wagner myth. The only entry was from like a comic book website of characters. So these next few pages, I really wrote down Bernie's colors really blast off 11, 12, 13.
Mm-hmm.
And so the spirit he sees is the spirit of death. And he thought like the only thing he could think of was like, okay, so that bat dung doesn't work, until like it really like gets into his brain. And this was why no spirit guide had appeared to me. Maslun was here and the spirits had run chittering into the woods. And so we see the foreshadowing as Argent is basically this avatar for Maslun, the spirit of death.
Yeah, it's cool that you're talking about 11 right now.
Kind of the whole spread.
Right. So
these
Argent's face is blocked out, but you can see that it's, Maslun is a wolf, a white wolf, and then when Argent appears, you can see his veins in his forearm and his his human forms, but not the face.
Right. The ear too is so very iconic of him. The ear and the hair. Mm-hmm. So it's like obviously there.
And the smell, the mention of
as always, it was heavy, rotten, overpowering.
Yeah.
So part of his curse is the stench of Maslun. It's nice to be reading the floppies and get this old school Kamiko ad right here. I'm going to put it up on the screen because I'm going to scan this in tonight. Just to see, I've basically read all of these except for Rio by Doug Widley.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, me neither. But Elementals, Night Enemy, I've got that trade. Devil by the Deed. I don't have the black Devil by the Deed, though. I got the purple and the blue.
Oh, no. Yeah, I always wanted to read that Harlan Ellison. I think it's Harlan Ellison and Ken Stacey.
Yeah.
It's a part of a larger cycle, the Earth Kaiba War of Harlan Ellison. Harlan Ellison, I was talking about him with the fellas last night, and some of it's really, really good, and some of it is just like 15 pages into the short story. Like, what what is going on here?
Yeah, he's a cool character though, for sure.
Yeah, very
big comic fan.
larger than life. Yeah,
totally. And then the next page we have a nice Elementals ad. The Elementals relocate to Philadelphia and discover that there's more than just brotherly love in this city.
All right. Kamiko in Philadelphia. Roots run deep.
Now back from commercial break. I keep having to return to my notes for the names. So Dream Picker is now running. I ran. And I run.
Yeah, his penis looks really weird in that first panel.
Oh, there's some great penis shots in this one. I have one to point out later. Some very dynamic penile.
But Bernie, Bernie in the last panel, it kind of this last panel
On 12.
It kind of looks like a Tim Sale, Teddy Christensen panel.
For sure.
From later on in the saga. It's just there's something about it.
Yeah. The smell was everywhere. It couldn't escape, and he bit through his spine and he died. So spiritually, Dream Picker is never the same after this. This vision quest, it's like a bad trip. It's like it changes the way he feels about himself, the way he carries himself. Death is kind of always at his door now. It's part of him. The coloring transition from 12 to 13 is magnificent.
Yeah.
Storytelling.
Can we talk about, before you get into that?
Yeah.
Can we just make mention of The Howling and American Werewolf in London?
Sure. Oh,
only one of which I've seen, just in terms of, the things that were popular in terms of werewolf zeitgeist at the time. And this is 10 years later. And there's a lot of American Werewolf in this. It's right. I don't know much about werewolves, but like this is crazy. Like it's like a vampire, except it like eviscerates you and then you become a werewolf.
Yeah, well, the transition is it's not super clear at the end of this issue. We'll get to that when we get there, but
go into this scene that you were going to say some good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the Bernie coloring on 12, I mean, is beautiful in the grays, the spirals, classic Bernie. Mm-hmm. And then, so once he awoke, and this is after this, like this life-changing dream, spiritual death and rebirth. Once I awoke, it took me 2 days to cover the 3-hour walk back to the village. He's so frail and weak, brains on fire. Don't touch me on a real live wire.
He wasn't actually murdered by Maslun.
Right.
He was cursed. He was cursed by Maslun, though I'm not sure why, because his dreams were too powerful.
And I think that if you're going to be a shaman, you go out and you do this meditation retreat. Not really retreat, but you do this meditation vision quest, and you get your spiritual guide or whatever. So I went out and took peyote for 3 days, and I saw, and this lion came to me in my dreams. Lions mean power, leadership, and this, and so I come back to the crew, and I'm like, I am now Cosmic Lion, and
is that true?
I'm a leader.
That happened?
I have done some strange jugs and seen some strange lions come to me, sure, but
all right.
I'm just trying to put this in
sure.
In the,
I get it.
And so depending on what spirit animal you get, you're reborn in this, like, with the guidance of this creature and its attributes. And so
this is the last one that you would want to get,
the very last one. And so it seems to me that Death, this supernatural creature, maybe that works in tandem with the devil, or the same creature that touched Hunter Rose, chose this creature for nefarious future endeavors or something, the same way that whatever the spirit of the devil chose Jocasta, who then in turn chose Hunter. Anyway, he comes back into the city, and the way that Bernie colored it, he feels, again, I'm going to read because I think this spread is great. To my fevered brain, my people seemed like strangers, indifferent, like I was invisible, already dead. As they went about their daily tasks, I thought perhaps I was still dreaming, that none of this was real, including me. Then I saw Eagle Scratch, eyes black with the same old envy and hatred. That's my take medicine alarm, and yes, it is fish. It's that Reba jam, brah. Okay, I interrupted a very nice passage by myself. Anyway, so he faint, and then I saw Eagle Scratch's eyes black with the same old envy and hatred, and I fainted into his arms. Now, each of these last 3 panels, the colors are kind of being pulled out as his kind of, his consciousness is fading. And as he fades out, we see this kind of like beautiful, beautiful watercolor kind of like spiritual leaving. And oh man, I just love it. So well done on this page, Bernie.
Yeah, I mean the inks also kind of
right, they get
degrade,
scraggly,
you know?
and yeah,
it almost has like a Jules Pfeiffer kind of vibe to it.
Yeah,
by the end,
right.
it's pretty wild.
Yeah, it goes from, I mean, this whole page is kind of sketchy. 12 is like heavily, is like precisely drawn. And then it just kind of fades out into like basic pencils in the last one on 13.
Yeah,
super
and that
cool.
style holds for at least another half page as he's laid up in the hut, as the other characters are trying to figure out how to deal with him, and Dogleg want to bleed him.
Yeah, they want to bleed him.
Or Eagle Scratch suggests that they bleed him, and the lettering is wonderful because it really has that fever dream coming in and out of consciousness,
leaving off letters here and there, leaving it up to your mind to kind of. And again, but Wind in the Leaves is like, nah, we're not doing any of this. Like, you can't bleed him. I'm gonna take him into my hut, and I'm gonna save his life through medicine, and not through like your, crazy bleeding ideas.
Dogleg's not happy to hear that.
He's not happy, and Argent loses his consciousness again. Dream Picker loses his consciousness. He hovered between life and death for about a week, and until he kind of was able to get his stuff together enough to be conscious and walk around again.
Yeah, and he said it before, and he has the mark about him, and he was, if he was an outsider before, now he's definitely like, he's gonna start a new life outside of the tribe.
Yeah, he's forced out by the council. Wind in the Leaves must have heard. Oh, well, okay, so she fought for him, but because of the way it all turned out, he's banished. They've banished me. They say I brought the fever. There's now a fever gripping the encampment, and it was Eagle Scratch who did that. Who said, he brought all this upon us after coming back with, as the disciple of Maslun. They kind of talk about it, and he's like, I gotta go. Like, will you visit me? Like, please come to see me. I have this whole life. I have this new life now. And the next couple pages are super, they're like an instruction manual on how to live. It's like Castaway out here. It's like, if this was a movie, there would be no words at all, and we would just see him building these things and making pelts and fishing and catching squirrels and beavers and making his tent, building his lodge, and then the winter coming and fully covering his lodge.
Yeah, every panel by the art team is just like kind of better than the last. The wet on like the leaves, the leaf peeping is real good, and then just like the atmosphere and the temperature of the weather.
Yeah, the smoke from the last panel on 16. Really beautiful stuff.
I can't wait to get into the ongoing series. I'm sure that there's a lot of Bernie colors in there that I've never really dug into, and for a comic, like, to compare this to, like, I don't know, a Marvel or DC book from 1989 off the rack, like, this is light years ahead.
So much more beautiful. Just, I mean, it leaves the 4-color method like in the dust using this
well, especially when you're not really trying, when you got to get it out in 25 days, and it's just like,
Man, I'll take Bernie not even trying over a lot of other colorists.
No, I meant like when the color separators at the big two, who just it's got to it's got to, here's 15 Art Adams characters. They're all purple. So,
exactly. and we accidentally made their face all black or something.
Yeah.
Like a lot of messes like that.
This campfire on 18 is, I think it's one of the, I mean, there's a lot of really bold wet on wets. No, it's not. The sex scene is the boldest, but the campfire is really wild.
I wanted to actually mention the ads. I like this.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that.
That's all right. That's all right. We get this Kamiko hype page. I didn't read it, but it's just fun. It's just fun being back in the floppies and seeing all the stuff that Kamiko did. You know, I really like the aesthetic feel of Kamiko. This shows us what books are coming out. Grendel number 37, as we mentioned earlier. And it's just crazy to read about what's going on, if I may. Tension charges the air, both within the walls of Grendel's palace and throughout the nation. Rebelling against forced internment, Pelin Cross incites the vampire population to rise up against its oppressors in bloody riots. Like, that is so far away from what we've been reading of Grendel. You know, like, this is such a completely different world. Sherry Caniff and the rise of Orion Asante and all this stuff. It's like, man, it's going to be fun to get into that.
And we will get there in about a year from now.
Yeah.
That's, I mean,
Oh,
or if not more.
yeah.
You know, probably like 14 months or so.
Yeah.
Man.
And then we get
Also
this
colors by
amazing
Bernie,
ad.
but Bernie's also on that.
Right.
He's
Yeah.
on that book as well. Yeah.
And then this next page, we get this awesome ad for this Grendel Mask that you can make. Kamiko and Mind Game invite you to become part of the mystery that is Grendel. Man, have you ever seen any of these on eBay or anything?
No, when I see this, it looks a lot like your cosplay. So I sort of like instantly think, oh, that's Eli.
Oh, see, I didn't even
just
have
because the way the gloves work and all that.
Oh, yeah.
My thought is this in Philadelphia? The photo?
Yeah, it might be, man. I don't know. And like, who's under that mask too?
Yeah, I don't know.
I've seen them on eBay. They go for about $250 to $300. They're not cheap. Yeah. So.
Well, how do you see through them? I don't understand.
I don't really understand
the
how.
eye, there's white screen printing over the eye.
Right. I don't. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't ever seen one in real life, so I got nothing on that. And also here they talk a little bit about Silverback number 2 shipping November 21st, and it's cool because it seems like this came out around this time because it's got Halloween stuff and it's like October. So this is actually coming out around the same time. We're covering it around the same time it came out. So on to page 18, the epic colors of the campfire. Man, this really made me think about what it would.
Thing.
Yeah,
they give a painted color credit to Ron Turner.
Oh my gosh, for Silverback too. Oh, yeah,
to Canadian
for the wraparound cover.
I don't know if he has a credit on here for the awesome cover.
Like for
Ron
the back
Turner. Is it I think it's back and front.
This one says there's a wraparound for next issue.
Right, but isn't this also?
Yeah, I guess, man. It's like that kind of wraparound where like it doesn't like this goes into this.
Yeah,
but it's not actually wraparound-ish. Just.
What do you think about the later Kamiko trade dress corner square?
I don't like it nearly as much as the grid.
What were they thinking?
I know. When you got something as amazing as that grid, man. Maybe they didn't like it because of how much coverage it took over like someone's art or whatever.
Yeah,
you know?
Maybe. Time to change. When it's time to change, you got to rearrange.
Yeah, you've got to rearrange.
What do you like most about this campfire?
Well, man, it really got me thinking about just this lifestyle. Like whenever I'm reading a comic, I'm really trying to internalize it and you know, feel the feelings of the character, especially in this, to feel the feeling I forgot. Swimming weightless in the womb, bouncing gently around the room.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fish quote. Nobody will get it. Anyway, no, just the feeling of like being trapped under snow in this thing that you've packed full of stuff, like barely ever getting to leave. And like, you know, he's praying and chanting and fasting, but he still had no dreams. And he's alone to his own devices in this thing. He was stranded and shackled to the physical world, cut off, dead to his best self. So
and there's 10 feet of snow under, you know, the snow just stops above the canopy.
Yeah. So it's really like just this really intense thing. And then finally the, you know, long winter ended, things start to defrost. And just as he forgot about wind and leaves, and just as he kind of put it all out of his mind, who shows up but wind and leaves?
Yeah.
She shows up as her namesake amongst the wind and the leaves, freshly growing. But she falls into his arms, says, "Help me." Another Bernie background panel that, we don't need any words. Bernie's backgrounds and the shadings and the coloring tells you everything you need to know about that panel. The winter was terrible. Whole families have died. The tribe is half of what it was when you left. She's bringing tales, back from his home, and not good ones. They're not getting along without him. And Dogleg said, "I nurtured this sickness by saving you."
Yeah. And that she's going to be sacrificed to satisfy him. In in volume 1, that was the case also, but I think that it's that he takes her virginity that night so that she can't be sacrificed.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
It was something
well,
like
that happens here too, I guess, but it's not explicitly called out.
Right.
Yeah. So she ran, and she's recuperating inside while Dream Picker's out, Raphaeling into the night.
Mhm.
Damn! Screaming and hooting and hollering, and he comes back and she's like, "I heard you out there, dude. Like, what the heck? I'm trying to sleep and you're out there hooting and hollering." But man, he's all pissed off because it's like, I thought this was going to be a nice reuniting, but then he sits down and all of a sudden she licks his face, and
it's a little weird.
That's when the psychedelic music happens. The tie-dye background erupts.
Yeah, it's like straight up tie-dye.
And again, and then this is a callback to the beginning when they were just friends and wrestling and fighting and rolling in the hay. Now they're
one flesh.
They're one flesh, and where they don't know where they begin and end. And here's my favorite penis of the book on page 23. That night, at last, I dreamed. And beautiful.
Yeah, he got his psychic blockage was removed or whatever.
Yeah, I guess his psychic pipes needed a bit of a cleaning. And post ejaculate, he is now able to soar.
I really like that Bernie has the freedom to add stuff to the colors. So like if you look at Maslun in that first panel, there's that trail of dots that kind of go from his paw and his mouth, and then Bernie adds all the background stuff, and like when he draws the campfire, there's like just smoke that it's not penciled or inked, he just like puts it in there.
Right.
And I think that's that's cool that you don't have to. It's not about coloring in the lines; it's about bringing feeling into the story.
Right. I mean, the pencils are super minimal on this page. Like, I mean, very little. And Bernie is doing almost all of the heavy lifting as far as filling out these forms and creating action and color.
He's doing a lot of heavy lifting on a lot of this. It's partial figures and not a ton of backgrounds in some of this stuff.
Yeah.
But I think it works pretty well.
Well, but also this dream was so intense.
Like, look at this one. Like, look at this one when the snow falls. Like, there's like 6 lines in the whole panel, and then Bernie brings it to life.
Brings it all to life. Yeah, man. Back on 18.
Yeah.
Well, but this dream was so intense that he didn't hear the villagers coming. He didn't hear the screaming when the men breaking into his lodge and taking them both. And when he awoke, he was back in the medicine lodge, back in town. He was bound and he had a terrible pain in Migalava. And that's when he saw before him flayed and sacrificed and glistening entrails of his beautiful love, Wind in the Leaves.
Do you think that he's like passed out coming out of the dream? The dream is so intense that he's on the verge of becoming Argent here.
Right.
It
might even be said that he he was on the spiritual plane,
left him,
the astral plane. Yeah.
because he's watching, his eyes are opening up as he watches these spiral doodle figures chopping up her. Yeah, crazy. And then he fainted.
And then he fainted, and then, in his dream, a wolf burst into the lodge. It was gigantic, demonic, unstoppable. And joyously it ripped through the gathered men. Blood splattered the ceiling. Hands and legs were pulled away, swallowed whole. At last it turned to the chief shaman, who was filled with envy and evil. But as it leapt, it was not the face of old Dogleg which showed beneath the mask, as the foot-long teeth tore out his throat. It was my own.
It was my own. But he's not it's not depicted in humanoid form. It's still depicted as Maslun.
Right.
Right. So it's kind of, it's kind of interesting. Okay, great. And then he's transformed in this last page.
Right. I thought I remembered a little bit more tales, like a little bit more about his transition. Maybe we'll see that in further issues, because I kind of don't remember everything. So this is new. I opened my eyes, and I think it's the air I remember mostly. The moiling scent of new blood and burst intestines.
The moiling scent.
I don't even know that word. What does that even? I don't either. Yeah, dude.
Not that moil.
Oh, you think it's that? No.
I think it is synonymous for roiling, where it's just like steaming and rolling off of.
Yeah. The moans of the dying, for all the village there was not one soul left living. Maslun's fury had been complete and indiscriminate. All had perished, leaving only the warm smells of death. And it was then I first heard the voices of the slain. So did he do all this killing? Who killed all these people? Did the spirit of Maslun come down, kill them all, and then go into him? Did the spirit go into him and he killed them all in a rage? And then...
in the spirit of this franchise, I think it's sort of this
left over.
This is a spiritual curse. And if you give it all away, it's not mysterious anymore.
Yeah.
My sense on this story is that there's some stuff that's missing about the role that the shamans play in the tribe and what life in the tribe is actually like. And if I was sort of doing some story editing, I probably would cut this and that here and there to front load more about the political role that religion plays in this society and what it really looks like to be a Padawan who goes on your vision quest to join. Because I think that there's some stuff that's a little like it's kind of brushed past in order to get more like brooding and loneliness in there.
Right. I wonder if there's flashbacks in issue 2 and 3 to flesh it out a little bit more.
Maybe.
I like that we're kind of reading this together and that there's questions. We don't know what's going to happen in 2 and 3.
Yeah. It's I think that on the larger scale of the franchise, it's also like there are, what did he call them? Uber creatures. Like there are supernatural horror creatures that play roles in this. And again, like I used to think that was part of like the code of like the mystery, but I think the answer is just like it's a comic book and it needs some kick-ass shit.
I think so too.
In it. And so, we start with a werewolf and then it's hard in the paint on vampires for much of the rest of it.
Right. For the end.
And then now it's on alien civilizations.
Exactly.
So
like
it's
Star Trek.
It's pulpy.
Yeah. And I mean, it's a creator who's having fun in the medium and using everything at his disposal. And one thing Matt doesn't ever do is paint himself into a box. He's always open to new changes, creation. So, they yearn to watch me kill. They scream to see me die. That's Silverback number 2 on sale.
Do you want to read the blurb from the bullpen bulletins page? Or did you already read it?
I read the beginning of it. Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Let's give some shine to that.
Oh yeah.
That back cover.
So beautiful. That's probably the paintings that they didn't say it in this one.
Yeah.
And so then go ahead.
No, just it's it's very Dave McKean.
Yeah, it's definitely a photo, because there's definitely multi elements. There's wood pieces in there. There's some string. So it's starting off, or it's picking up where the Grendel covers had been recently doing at that time. Most likely is taking photos of paintings and multimedia. Yeah. Cool. So next week on the Silvercast, 2 centuries later, the long-suffering wolf moves through the American Revolution with a bloody vengeance on the trail of cold memories. Be here, Diana Schutz.
Awesome. Yeah, it should be good. Yeah. I enjoyed this. It was a nice break. It was a nice, good insights into that. The art was awesome.
Beautiful.
Storytelling was cool.
Coloring by Bernie Moreau.
Yeah, man.
Great to have Floppy and go through it with you, Ben. Another great day of casting. I guess all we can say is keep on Grendelin. And Argent, take us out.
Argent, yeah.
Hold your head up.